Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're driving headfirst into the fascinating psychology and the actual clinical reality behind our modern obsession with perfectly optimized rest. We're living in this wild era, right? Where we can track pretty much every single biological metric our bodies produce. But today, we're zooming in on one highly relatable area, our sleep. And honestly, more importantly, we're going to look at what exactly happens when our good intentions to get better rest actually start to backfire on us. So let me ask you this. Who decides if you sleep well? Is it you or your watch? It's a pretty simple question, but the answer really exposes a massive disconnect between how you actually feel and what your device is telling you. Just think about it. You wake up feeling super refreshed, you stretch, you're absolutely ready to tackle the day, and then you glance down at your wrist. Suddenly, a tiny piece of tech tells you that you actually had a terrible night. Does that instantly change how you feel? I mean, who is the ultimate authority on your rest here? To really wrap our heads around the sheer scale of this trend, get this. More than a third of Americans now use a smartwatch or a tracking ring to monitor their sleep. That is a massive chunk of the population actively digitizing their nights. These devices have absolutely exploded in popularity, suddenly giving millions of us access to data that used to require, spending a whole night hooked up to machines in a specialized sleep lab.
Okay, Section 1, the sleep tracking boom. Let's look at why we actually track our sleep.
So, why did so many of us decide to try and optimize something as naturally unpredictable as sleep? Well, it's because we've kind of turned it into a commodity. In our hyper-tech-driven world, we want to work hard and we want to sleep hard, basically treating rest like just another task to check off our to-do list. Now, as sleep researchers point out, taking an interest in your sleep is generally a wonderful thing, but trying to rigidly control and maximize it just to squeeze out a few extra drops of daytime productivity, that turns a totally natural biological process into a high-pressure performance metric.
Moving on to Section 2, defining orthosomnia, a new sleep anxiety. To really put a name to this phenomenon, researchers coined a brand new term, orthosomnia. It's actually modeled after orthorexia, which you might know as an unhealthy obsession with clean eating. Basically, back in 2017, doctors started noticing this wave of patients coming in who were just absolutely fixated on the sleep metrics coming from their wrists. We're not just talking about a casual, oh, neat, I slept okay kind of interest anymore. No, this was an intense, gripping fixation that was actively causing them distress night after night. And honestly, the irony here is just incredible. Patients were showing up to clinics deeply anxious, utterly convinced their low sleep scores meant something was fundamentally broken inside them. But when doctors ran actual in-lab clinical sleep studies, the gold standard polysomnograms, the reality was completely different. They were sleeping perfectly fine. Their extreme anxiety was entirely generated by the score on their device, not by their actual biology.
So, where exactly is that line? When does tracking go from a helpful tool to a harmful habit? Well, it happens when people start treating sleep like a standardized test. It's like they turn into honor students, desperately striving for that perfect score of 100. If they wake up to a bad score, they feel completely hopeless. In the absolute worst clinical cases, patients were making severe, maladaptive decisions, like literally choosing to take heavy-duty sleeping medications purely based on flawed watch metrics. Doctors were seeing this constantly. Perfectly healthy patients showing up, frantic, just swiping through pages and pages of phone data.
Section 3, the tracker data disconnect, understanding the gap.
So why is there this massive gap between consumer panic and clinical reality? Well, take a look at this. In a normal, totally healthy night of sleep, more than half of your night, around 55%, is actually supposed to be light sleep. But patients were looking at their watches, seeing that 55%, and absolutely freaking out. They honestly thought they were failing at sleeping. It got so bad that clinicians had to constantly reassure them, hey, this is completely 100% normal.
This widespread confusion actually forced an industry-wide response. Tech companies quickly realized, we have to be much more responsible with how we package this data for everyday consumers. Apple, for example, made this brilliant, incredibly simple change. They renamed light sleep to core sleep. And just like that, it stopped users from panicking over a perfectly healthy, necessary biological metric.
Plus, you've got to remember that many of these devices have historically operated as confusing, totally opaque black boxes. You wake up, you get a score of a 70 or an 80, but what does that actually mean? Does an 80 equal a poor night of rest? Well, not necessarily. Striving for a perfect 100% without even knowing what specific behaviors are being measured, that is basically a recipe for orthosomnia. Because of this pushback, companies like Google and Fitbit have actually been forced to redesign their apps. They had to unpack this black box and start offering clear, transparent feedback that makes sense. Which brings us to Section 4, Rethinking the Optimal Night, a liberating clinical truth.
The hard clinical reality here is that sleep remains highly individualized. We simply cannot overthink exact percentages based on broad population averages. For example, a healthy 47-year-old doctor who exercises a ton might naturally have much lower deep sleep than average, and guess what? They're perfectly fine. Furthermore, actual in-lab studies show that the tracked minutes of your sleep stages do not map one-to-one with how well you perform the next day. And then, think about chronotypes. If you are naturally a night owl and you force yourself into a rigid routine of waking up at 4 a.m. for the gym, you are going to feel awful during the day. It doesn't matter if your device says you got the mathematically perfect amount of sleep minutes.
The big takeaway here is really summed up beautifully by sleep clinicians. Sleep is not a commodity. You can't have that optimal night every night. Listen, you can do everything perfectly right. You can follow all the rules, dim the lights, put the phone in another room, read a book, and still have a totally garbage night of sleep. And conversely, you can have a really difficult tossing and turning night and still perform incredibly well at work the next day. Trying to force every single night to be your absolute best, most optimal night ever, it's ironically just going to lead to way worse sleep. Okay, so if we shouldn't obsess over the daily numbers, how do we actually use these devices? Well, trackers can be incredibly helpful if you use them to focus on broad patterns over time. Use them to build and enforce macro habits, like realizing that if you don't physically get your body into bed by 10:30 p.m., you literally have zero chance of getting the 7 hours you need. Use the technology to open up a conversation about your overall routines. But please, strictly ignore the pressure of treating that daily numerical score as some kind of grade on your self-worth.
Once you really internalize this, I promise you, it changes everything. The idea that a mathematically perfect, optimal night of sleep simply does not exist, that is incredibly liberating. It frees you from the exact anxiety that is keeping you awake in the first place. Sleep is supposed to be restorative. It's a natural rhythm, not just one more demanding task you have to relentlessly conquer every 24 hours.
Which leaves us with this final thought. Sleep is highly subjective. At the end of the day, it's largely about how you feel and how you perform across the day. So, tomorrow morning, I have a challenge for you. Before you let a watch dictate your mood or tell you how you supposedly slept, try checking in with your own body first. Ask yourself, how do I actually feel? Because it turns out, your own lived experience, that might just be the most accurate sleep tracker you have.